Hi there, today it's Love and Life, and today I'm here to bring you one of my most favorite things, a recipe for one of my most favorite things in the world, my grandma's cream fudge. This is a recipe that's gone through our family. It's an old recipe. My grandmother used to make this when I was a little girl and bring this candy to us every Christmas. It's delicious. And as she grew older and I got married and had kids, I learned how to make it for myself and my family because I love it so much. And I want to share this recipe with you today. My grandmother has passed away since. I put a little bit of cream in here. I need to put the ingredients in. My grandmother has passed away since, and so this is a wonderful recipe that we got from her. She learned it from her mother, and it's an old-fashioned Christmas candy, Christmas fudge, cream fudge with real cream, and it's just so good. My children, my girls, know how to make this too, and they make it for their families too. There's not very many ingredients. It calls for 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream, and I'm putting that in right now. I have these cute measuring cups from Pioneer Woman, and this one's a cup, the other one was 1/2 cup. It says on the inside a cup, and I measured my whipping cream in it today, and it is exactly a cup. I was happy to know that they are very accurate. It calls for 1 cup of white corn syrup. This recipe does. There's only 3 ingredients in the actual part that you cook. And after the corn syrup, we'll add 3 cups of white sugar. And then we'll just stir this up. I need to turn my pan around so I can hold on to the handle. This pan that I'm cooking this cream fudge in is an old pressure cooker that I bought at a yard sale a lot of years ago at my neighbor's up the road. It was one of my neighbors that her mother passed away, and she was selling a lot of her stuff. And I, being a candy maker, know what a good candy pan is, and so I knew that this would be perfect, not for a pressure cooker, but for a candy maker. What you need is a pan with a big heavy bottom on it. You want a thick bottom. You don't want a pan that has a thin bottom, or your candy will burn and it won't cook right like it's supposed to. I remember my grandmother teaching me how to make this fudge, and she said you have to have this pan. It wasn't this pan that I have actually, but it was a pan she had with a heavy bottom, and it was a little bit taller than this pan and round. And then she'd giggle and she'd say, and you have to have this spoon. I don't remember what the spoon looked like now. I don't know, but I always laughed, and she would giggle, and I thought she was just being funny. But as I've grown older and learned how to make this, it does make a difference in the pan that you use. I'm not sure the spoon makes a difference, but I just like to use one of my wooden spoons that I have. Now we're going to cook this on medium heat just until it gets to a certain color. I'm not a person that uses a thermometer. I learned to make homemade candy by using the softball test in water, or by the look of what I'm making. And this is one of those candies that it has a certain color. I don't test it in a softball or a thermometer because I don't have any idea what that would be. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. And then after it's finished cooking to that particular state, we add some walnuts in, and then you stir it until it reaches a certain consistency, and then you have to hurry and pour it out in your plate or your I have a platter that I usually use. Today I'm just going to use a pie tin, a glass pie dish that I have, to pour it in, and then you let it set up. It's a recipe that most in my family love. My husband does not like this, but most of my family does. Now, when it comes to the whipping cream, let me move you and show you. I like to buy a really heavy whipping cream. If you notice, this is 40% heavy whipping cream, the one on the left. I bought this from Costco, and this is a big container of whipping cream. I like to buy one of these at Christmas time because I like to make a lot of candy, and my brothers and my sister love this candy too. And so I like to buy a lot of it so I can make extra if I feel well enough and share with my family. This heavy whipping cream is what you want to buy. This one is another whipping cream that we got at our local store, and it's good cream, but it's not heavy cream. And although it would work still, this heavy cream is better. Heavy cream is more of a heavy cream content, and it will give you better candy if you use heavy cream for it. Another thing I use this heavy cream for sometimes is to make fondant. We make homemade chocolates sometimes and make the fondant from scratch with cream and sugar, and that you need to use heavy whipping cream for too. I'm not making chocolates this year, but anyway, I just wanted to show you that the cream that's the kind of cream you want to get. Any brand of corn syrup works, and just white sugar for this candy. I use walnuts whole. I just use walnuts. I buy them at Costco too, a big bag of walnuts. And some candies and things you make, you want to crush your walnuts, but this I don't like to. I like to leave them whole so you get big chunks of walnut in with the candy. And I think if you crushed your walnuts, you'd get a whole different taste and a different kind of flavor that I wouldn't like as well. And so that's how I do it. I just am going to watch this and let it cook. It'll start boiling. I'm gonna turn off the camera, and I'll wait for just a little bit, and then I'll bring you back when we're about halfway through. It doesn't take a long time. You need to watch it and stir it once in a while, and I'm not going to leave this pan. I'm going to sit here and watch it and just let it cook, and then I'll bring you back in just a little bit. When it gets about halfway there, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I just want to show you the candy again. It's been cooking for a little longer. It's still not ready. See how it's getting a little bit darker? I've been just sitting here stirring. This is it so far. It's not ready yet, but I'll bring you back when it is. Okay, I think this is about the color that I want it. See how it's kind of a creamy golden color? This is the color I want it to be. So at this point, I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to pour in my walnuts. If you notice, these walnuts are good big chunks. And that's what I like. That's the way it's supposed to be. I'll take this off the burner and I'll set up this camera, and then I'll show you what we do next. I just wanted to show you that I have my dish set up here. I greased it lightly with just a little bit of butter, and it's ready to pour the candy in. You want to have this ready before you start mixing your candy, because when the candy gets ready, you have to hurry and pour it into your dish. Okay, I've got my candy here. If I can do this around the camera. What we're going to do is we're going to stir this and stir until it starts to sit up. You just want to keep stirring. This candy's hot. It's very hot right off the stove, so it takes a little while. Whoops. It takes a little while for it to cool down. Let me replace my camera. Put it in a different place. Hold on. Okay, let's try that again. Now this candy is right off the stove, so it's very hot. What we're going to do is sit here and just stir. And we're going to stir it and stir it and stir it until it becomes, the gloss will change. It will turn not so shiny. It will turn really thick, and it'll be ready to pour into our dish. You'll be able to tell when it comes to that consistency. It takes a little while because it has to cool down and it has to be just right. If you poured this into your candy dish right now, it would never set up. See how runny it runs off the spoon? Let me put some on and show you. See how it runs off the spoon? It's too thin. It's too thin to make a fudge out of, and it's runny. See how runny that is? But as we stir it, it's going to thicken up. See that good color? It's not a off-white color. It's not a color of caramel, but it's the color of cream fudge, the way that I like it. Now my girls and my sister like to cook this not quite as done as I do, and it doesn't set up the same, but the cream fudge that my grandma brought and the way it originally made is like this. It's made with cooking it, so it's a little bit doner. Now I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes, no matter who you are, if you're young and you've never made candy, or if you're old and older and you have never made candy. I want you to know that you don't need to be intimidated by it. There are secrets and tricks to making candy, but you can learn them. And once you've learned those secrets and tips, it takes the mystery out of it. It's kind of like making a pie crust or making something that you don't know how to make, homemade bread. And after you learn how, then you know. And when I was first married, I wanted to learn to make candy because I love it and I just wanted to know. And my mother taught me a lot, and my grandma taught me some, and I learned a lot by trial and error. I make this candy every year. I've made a lot of fondant, which is very similar to having to stir it, cook it and stir it, and it's just a little bit different. And I've made caramels every year for years also. And of the three, caramels are the easiest. Caramels you can test with a thermometer. I don't know what that reading would be because I make it by testing it in ice cold water and with a spoon, the softball or hardball stage. You know, I've made hardball crack suckers. I've made taffy. Taffy you have to cook to a certain consistency. There's just a lot of different candies that buttermints you can make, that you have to cook them just so. But I think the best advice I could give you is to read all you can about it. There's candy making books. Watch YouTube. Watch people that you know. If you know somebody who knows how to make candy, go learn from them. let them teach you, and then try it. The best thing you can do is just try to make your own. Try it. I've failed. I've made some that's sugary, not this cream fudge, but fondant. I've made sugary fondant. I've had to recook it before. Never turns out as good when you have to recook it. But you can learn, and once you learn, it's so much easier, and it takes all the guesswork out of it. I want you to see how much thicker this is getting already. See how much thicker that is? And it will just continue to get thicker. My hand is already hurting. I have a muscle disease, and I can't do the things I used to do. This is getting about ready for me to go put it in the dish. So, all right, this candy is to the point that I'm going to put it in my pan. I want you to notice how thick this candy has become. Can you see how thick that is? How it is going to make a nice, wonderful, thick piece of fudge. Let me show you my pan and how thick that is now. You can see a difference in the consistency. Can you see how it's turned kind of creamy? Look at that. It's kind of, look at the pan, how it's turning more on the edges. See how that's turned more like a consistency of fudge. You want to, let's look over here. See how that looks? You want to stir it when it starts to sit up like that. See how thick this is? I can't even hardly get it off the spoon. See how thick it is on the spoon? I'm trying to scrape it out of the pan. I don't have another spoon, but I have a knife. I can scrape some out onto the pan. So we have lots of cream fudge. Now this candy is a wonderful candy as far as making it ahead of time. My great-grandmother, I never met her. She died before I was born. But my mom told me that she used to make this candy, and she would put it in a mason jar, a canning jar, and she would put it in her dark pantry, and she would just leave it in the pantry, and then every time company would come, she'd take out this candy, and they'd have some candy. And I know that it lasts at least a month. I've never really had it longer than that because we always eat it by then, but it lasts for a long time. So you can make this candy right now, and it'll be good clear through Christmas and New Year's if you wanted to have it for New Year's. And it's just an old-fashioned cream fudge, cream candy that you could eat many years ago, that you used to, at least where I live, you'd taste candy like this. You don't taste it much anymore. People just make fast, easy. But if you want a really good, delicious candy, this is one that you would probably love. Okay, let me scoot back and show you. That, my friends, is cream fudge, my favorite Christmas candy of all time. Brings back many, many memories, wonderful memories for me. And I hope you'll give it a try because it really is delicious. And I'll just talk to you again soon. I just want to bring you back and show you the finished product. I've cut some of this. Look how creamy and thick that looks. I've cut some so you can see it's just a little bit warm still. And it will get a little bit harder as it cools, but look at that delicious. Let me take this piece off and show you how delicious this looks. Look at that consistency, deliciousness of that cream fudge. That soft, shiny right there will turn more like this up here, so it won't be so shiny. But if you taste this, it is so delicious. It's just addicting. It tastes like cream. I love cream. I've loved cream since I was a little girl with walnuts, and it's just wonderful old-fashioned candy. So anyway, if you like old-fashioned cream candy, this is a good one to try.